morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And how do you do? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. And God loves you. Ooh, ooh. Yes, y'all. Edwina B. Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. But guess what? One more day, God said, rise and go out and save one more soul. All righty. If he told me to do it, guess what? I'm passing the word on to you. Go out and help somebody because we are born to serve. So, welcome to the Alcoholics Anonymous Daily Reflection reading for today, Real Independent. However, there's some things I need to do to prepare you for the AA Daily Reflection reading for today. I don't represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud, humble, and grateful member for 32 plus years, practicing these spiritual principles in all of my affairs. And so I'm going to start off with my testimonial song, inspired by my friend AJ Harding just now. And he, oh my God, he said, it's your time. And that ignited something in me to play that record. And you're going to see why. Then I'm going to follow that with a journal entry that I did 32 plus years ago and let you see where my mind was, what I was thinking back then, and see what has transpired since then. Then I'm free to hope. And just to give you a little bit of that, when it started back in February of 2020, when I had 30 years, but COVID came in, there we go. But this is a special month for me. And because I'm celebrating my mother's birthday, the entire month of March, she was born March the 23rd. I got sober on February the 23rd. And I must interject that my daughter, Kenesha T. Dockery, her birthday is March the 20th. So, but this is mommy's time. So I acknowledge my daughter, but it's all about my mama. All right, so here we go with the record. It's your time. And so I just want you to call someone and tell them to tune in because it's their time. And we want to make sure that everybody is in the position to get what is due to them. It's your time, right? It's your time, right? Nope, that's not it. Hold on, Rob. Oh, Lord, gospel song. It's your time. Yes. It's your time to be blessed. So let's go to this particular song. And I love it. And it's by Luther Barnes and the Jubilees, right? So here, let me get rid of this commercial and let's go right to it, all right? Listen to the words. It's your time.
You've been faithful, you've been true, and you've done all that you could do. And for your faithfulness, it's your time. You applauded for the rest. Now it's your time to be blessed. And for your faithfulness, it's your time. You've been faithful. You've been true. And you've done all you could do. And for your faithfulness, Now it's your time. It's your time to be blessed. And for your faithfulness. And for your faithfulness. It's your time. You waited for so long, but you held on and you were strong. And for your faithfulness, it's your time. You encouraged everyone else when you needed it for yourself. And I want you to know that for your faithfulness, it's your time. You waited and waited for so long, but you held on, you were strong, and for your faithfulness, it's your time. You encouraged everyone when you needed it for yourself, and for your faithfulness, it's your time. This song is dedicated to all of you who have been working in the vineyard for the Lord for what seems like a lifetime. You have dreamed and you've worked towards things that you wanted to accomplish for yourself. But somehow your biggest goals always seem to be just out of your reach. But the Lord told me to tell you that He knows who you are. Yes, He's seen your work, and He's also seen your tears. And He wants you to know today that you're not forgotten. He's here to reward you for all your faithfulness. But He said in His word that if you will delight yourself in Him, He will give you the desires of your heart. In other words, not only will He give you what you need, but He promised to give you whatever you want. So don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Hang in there and prepare yourself for your blessing. It's your time now. You waited and waited. You waited for so long. But you held on. You were strong. And for your faithfulness. For your faithfulness. Because you hung in there when times got hard. And when it seemed like nobody cared, you kept out on working. You kept out on doing good things. And for your faithfulness. For your faithfulness. It's your time. It's your time. Thank you, Jesus. You told me to tell you. It's your time.
Wasn't that awesome? It's your time. God woke us up this morning because it's our time just for this day. We all have the same 24 hours. The question is, what are you going to do with your time? And what am I going to do with my time? And the spiritual question is, have you been prepared for your spiritual journey to explode? It's your time. I know it's my time. I know it's my time because I'm sitting here before you. But AJ say, listen, you've been overlooked, but now you're going to be overbooked. Woo, I like that. He said, you've been overlooked. Now you're going to be overbooked. Woo, woo. That just hit me and said, it's my time. And guess what? If it's my time, it must be your time too. Because I received it from him. He received it from God. And I'm hoping you receive it from me. It's our time. All right. So now, many of you know with my mother, and by the time she was 22 and 24, had 6 kids, right? Ruby, Deborah, me, Carolyn, Eddie Boy, and Henry went from Tasker Projects to Clarence Street, right? This is when a lot of the memories of living in that environment happened. And so I can reflect back on certain things. And I remember how playful we were as children, along with the Chapmans and the Wall family, because they had a lot of children too. But it was also a time when there was a lot of abuse, with my father towards my mother, and it wasn't a happy time. But I loved my dad so much, and I think I began to ignore what he did, and it wasn't so prevalent then as it became later. And so that negativity built up because of the secret that was being kept from Deborah Jean not being his biological daughter, and my mother feeling guilty that her given dad, molested or raped her, and therefore brought a child in the world, which is why Granny had a hard time forgiving him, and I believe why she became an alcoholic as well. So, even though there's some joyful times, there are also some not so joyful times. And that's why the inventory of a 12-step program that's spiritual in nature can help us unravel that. Not to find out what's wrong with us, but to find out what happened to us. And so as my information about my mom continues, I give you another part tomorrow, okay? Now let's read a journal entry, okay? I like to give you a variety, right? All right, so January the 11th is when I shared the vision that I had through a dream of becoming a writer and a speaker, right? And I showed you the picture of my mama, right? There she go, there she go, there she go. There go my mama, right? Right in front of the rehab where my sister Deborah Jean was and where that secret was revealed. Okay, so let's see what I wrote on January the 23rd of 1991. So that was about a week or so later than January the 11th. So this one is very short. It says, wow, it has been over a week since I've last written in my journal. Well, one excuse is that I turned it over to my sponsor to read and review. I felt it would be a good idea if she read over the material I've written about since I've been into recovery. Our relationship is a good one as we are building it very slowly but consistently. We go to meetings together and I contact her by phone at least 3-4 times a week. After she reviewed my writing, she expressed feelings of support and encouragement and told me I have a good concept of the first 3 steps. I'm looking forward to going through the other steps with her. I'm just beginning to start step 4 and asked her advice, and she gave me instructions to read upon step 4 before I begin it. So that is my plan to do so. I'm really feeling excited about my 11 months, and I attended 2 meetings today. I even got to chair a meeting unexpectedly. You see the excitement? I've been consistent. I've been faithful to my recovery. I've been faithful. I didn't know what faithfulness was, but I tell you one thing, I sure found out, because one thing for sure, I've been faithful to my recovery. So that means I do know how to be faithful, right? And I just thank God that through my faithfulness, it's my time. It's my time. And he's been preparing me. And listen, I'm like, come on, come on, come on. I ain't thinking that. Go. You know, I just love God. And I just love my spirit that he gave me in this vehicle, this vessel. Because Donna Lawrence says you are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being living and walking this natural experience. Can't you tell the joy in my spirit? Huh? Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops as I am. Woo! I know what faithful is. I know what being faithful to me is. Oh my God. And I can practice being faithful to y'all. Okay. To God be the glory. All right. So let me share a little bit of my Free to Hope, from recovery, emerge empowered to hope, help others prosper equally, that I did on my 30th anniversary on February the 23rd of 2020. Here goes. All right. To soundness of mind. Those 12 recovery principles help restore me to soundness of mind, y'all. Oh, yes. Because I had to learn to go inside and stop looking externally for things to fix me, for things to heal me, for things to satisfy me. Instant gratification. So going through this 12 recovery principles helped me to believe that there's a greater power. And I may not know who it is, but it has been a process for me. It was a process for me. It was the counselors in rehab. It was the people in the area of counseling and rehabilitation. That was a power greater than me. I had to submit and humble myself to listen to these counselors and therapists who would say to me, Edwina, they call you the Miss Junior Therapist in here. You got all the answers for everybody, but you're not getting well. But they were a power greater than me. One of them said to me, and this is what I want to ask you all, even you out there, listening to me live. Whether you're going through cancer, whether you're going through being raped, molested, mental illness, substance abuse, try to commit suicide, what power that was greater than you did you identify to help you? Most of you probably say none, because you thought you could handle it, but you can't. And you couldn't. I couldn't. So I allowed these team of my rehab to tell me what I needed in order to get healed. They were a power greater than me. Because see, God, he was out there somewhere. I can't say. Because I was taught that God was a punishing God. He was going to get you. If you do bad things, you're not going to heaven. So that power was new to me. And so obtaining and getting a power greater than you has been a process and will be a process when you utilize the 12 recovery principles. Yes. Okay? So, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and sanity only means soundness of mind, y'all. Being able to make constructive choices and decisions. Soundness of mind, meaning I'm not going to go outside with no coat on and it's 2 degrees outside. But under the influence of alcohol, I'll probably go out there naked. I told you I was transparent, right? Soundness of mind. Under the influence, whether it be from the sickness and the chemo, or the rape and the nightmares and all of that, will make you do some crazy things. Yes. So how can these 12 recovery principles restore me to soundness of mind? The next recovery principle is made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, the Creator, as we understood Him. I'm not giving you my God because listen, I ain't found mine yet. I'm still searching for mine. During this process called recovery, yes. But I needed to make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. And when I look at the word care, y'all, it reminds me of a mother and a child. When you had the responsibility and your dad's too, but it's something about that mother-child connection that reminds me that that mother is going to be loving and caring and protective and will do any and all things for that child. So that child looked up into the mother's eyes as she's feeding them, as she's nurturing them, as she's cuddling them, as she's changing their diaper. They are turning their will and their lives instinctively over to the one who has been put in charge of them. Yes. And in our case, I made a decision to go into rehab. I made a decision to seek counseling. I made a decision to go to a 12-step program. I made a decision to surrender my life to this process. And guess what? You can do the same. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm only making a suggestion. If you decide to go in the airplane and you want to jump out, make sure you have a parachute. I'm only suggesting. Make sure you have a parachute. So, how many decisions do we make a day? I'm asking you. How many decisions do we make a day? We make decisions all day long. Am I getting up? Am I going to the bathroom? Am I going to lay here and pee the bed? Making a decision all day long. Am I going to tell somebody I did it? Am I going to hide the sheets? Am I going to go to school? Am I going to set the alarm? We make decisions. Am I going to pray? We make decisions all day long. Mm-hmm. 2, can you provide examples of who and how you make a decision to turn your will and your life over to? Can you provide examples of who? Who are you going to make that decision to turn your will and your life over to? How do you make that decision? What is the criteria for wanting to turn your will and your life over to a power greater than you? Who it is, and how do you do it? 3, can you explain the words over to the care of? When we talked about that power greater than us and recovery principle number 2, we talked about something, that power that was caring and loving and giving, right? And so I would want to make that decision to keep turning my will and my life over to the care of that power greater than me. Why? Because of the benefits. I'm beginning to have some serenity. I'm beginning to feel some peace. I'm beginning to sleep at night. Wouldn't you want more of that? I'm asking. Wouldn't you want more of that? You're not dealing with the guilt and the remorse and the shame as often as you used to. Yet you do, but you don't stay there as long, right? Because you're making a decision to get the help that's available to help you deal with those internal issues that have manifested themselves in a negative way externally. Time is a change. It's time to go inside. And it's time to make the decision. So, the decision is important to you. And I often, and this is the key word, practice making that decision. We are some self-willed people. We are some strong self-willed people. But the more we practice making a decision to do the right thing, to go to the right places, making a decision to, turn our lives over to the care of whoever your higher power is. Him, her, the force, I don't care. Because in your process, you will identify who that power is in your own time. Okay? So, made a decision. And that's all you're doing. We didn't say turn it over. We didn't say turn your will. We say make a decision too. So don't get it twisted. Okay? Moving on to recovery principle number 4. All right. Did you enjoy recovery principle number 3? Huh? Y'all making a decision to wait for me. Y'all making a decision to tune into me every day, right? Made a decision. I made a decision right underneath that park car to ask for help. Lord, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. I ain't trying to give up nothing right here. Y'all just got to wait a minute, all right? And so I have practiced on a daily basis making the right spiritual decision. And oftentimes I use that serenity prayer to do that. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if you're dealing with some people like I got to deal with today in one way, shape, form, or fashion, I ask God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that that person is me. For 32 plus years, I've been practicing it, and oh my God, I am at all of the level of peace I have obtained. I tell you, in the midst of it all, because of that serenity prayer. All right. So I want to say to you, the Alcoholics Anonymous program, right? Spiritual principles, spiritual traditions, spiritual steps, right? Spiritual readings. So now we get to dive into today's daily reflection reading from Alcoholics Anonymous, who's been in effect for nearly 90 years. I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous. As I said before, I've been a proud, grateful, and committed, faithful member for 32 plus years. To God be the glory, because it's my time. February the 22nd was the time for the old to die, and February the 23rd was the emergence of the new through God's grace and mercy. All right, so let's dive into the topic for today, okay? So let's read it together, all right? And then we're going to break it down. You ready? All right. March the 18th, AA Daily Reflections. Real independence. The more we become willing to depend upon a higher power, the more independent we actually are. From the 12 Steps, 12 Traditions, page 36. And the person in recovery writes, from his perspective, I start with a little willingness to trust God, and he causes that willingness to grow. The more willingness I have, the more trust I gain, and the more trust I gain, the more willingness I have. My dependence on God grows as my trust in him grows. Before I became willing, I depended on myself for all my needs, and I was restricted by my incompleteness. Through my willingness to depend upon my higher power, whom I choose to call God, All my needs are provided by someone who knows me better than I know myself. Even the needs I may not realize, as well as the ones yet to come. Only someone who knows me that well could bring me to be myself and to help me feel the need in someone else that only I am meant to feel. There never will be another exactly like me, and that is real independence. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Oh, did you hear that? Real independence. And when you go back to that tradition, right, in the 12 and 12, right, it tells you to go to page 36, read what it says, and then read the paragraph before, and then read the whole chapter, and then read the whole book. Be talking about gaining real independence. Now, and so let me start in layman terms. What does real independence mean to you? Now, nobody asked you what was real independence mean to you. So let's go back to what people ask you. What does independence mean to you? What does independence mean to you? Now, with the inventory process, we go back into our history and we can see, right, the developmental stages. But before the developmental stages, we had someone, right, a power greater than us, namely our parents, particularly my mother, right, who started the foundation of independence for us, right? And so just like a child instinctively, right, doesn't really know, but this is all instinctual when they start to walk. But they first start crawling. And they go back to that, they sit up and they fall over, right? Yeah, they fall over, right? And so the mind is such a beautiful machine, and but the spirit within is just as beautiful, right? And so when we think about independence, go back as far as you can and define what independence means to you, to the point where you became, a toddler. I don't want that. I want this. I don't want that. I can do it. I can do it. My 3-year-old I can do it, Grandma. Give me. I can do it. I can do it. No, I can do it. That's real independence, right? Because they have not been, right? They have not been conditioned. So they are exercising real independence for real. Okay, just from their position and their developmental stages that they're going through. And so they're really not aware of it, but they are aware of it because they want independence. If that makes sense. And I'm sure it does. Okay. So let's go into the reading. All right. So I just wanted to give you some little examples to think about. Right. So it says, the more we become willing to depend upon a higher power. Let's stop there. Now, remember in step 2, we said, came to believe that a power greater than me could restore me to sanity. Sanity only means soundness of mind, right? So I shared with you how those powers greater than me, right? When I compared it to my past and where I compared it to during my addiction and where I compared it to in recovery. So in all those processes, there were powers greater than me that I can now identify because I've been asked to, and I need to gain a better understanding, right? And so when they had me compare the powers greater than me that I yielded to, right? As a child, my parents, right? As a student, the teachers, right? Mm-hmm. At the bank, the tellers, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when I got into my addiction, right, a power greater than me was the dope dealer, right? Was the bartender, okay? Was the John as a prostitute. They were powers greater than me. Mm-hmm. When I was underneath that parked car, right, 32 plus years ago, my life flashed before me, and I saw how at the age of 34, how did I get underneath a parked car? And that flash, woo, to the point where even after trying to commit suicide a few times, right? Right? And so it was like every essence of my soul, my being, unknowingly to me, just cried out to this God that I didn't know to say, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. I was acknowledging then a greater power than me and all that I had been through, because I never really acknowledged, gave, surrendered to that greater power. Didn't have no idea. Okay? So listen to what it says. It says, the more we become willing to depend upon a higher power, the more independent we actually are, right? And so from underneath that parked car, God put me on a pathway to recovery. And the pathway to recovery will continue to expose powers greater than me to restore me to sanity, to restore me to soundness of mind. Not to be a destructive force, not to be a negative force like those others in my past were. No, right? So the more I became willing, right? Right, to believe and make that decision to turn my will and my life over to those powers greater than me, the more independence I gain from my addiction. That makes sense? Woo! Okay. So now let's go into let's say it again, okay? The more we become willing to depend upon a higher power, the more independent we actually are. We don't want to give anything or anybody that much power ever again to make us go back to drinking. That's not an option for me. But to the point where it want to steal my joy or my happiness, my peace of mind and all that, oh, hell to the no, right? So the more I am willing to turn my will and my life over to the care of, right, this higher power, whoever God uses to help restore me to sanity, the more independent I become and no longer dependent on the drug, alcohol, and every other thing, right? Ooh, I love this, okay? So let's see what the person in recovery has to share from his perspective, and then I'll share mine. He says, I start with a little willingness to trust God, and he causes that willingness to grow. Now, I don't know what your process is, and I don't know, okay? Everybody got a story, everybody got a process, everybody has a journey, and everybody needs to be true to themselves. So I can only speak from my experience, strength, and hope, but I can relate to what he's saying, in that, right? In that, I start with a little willingness to trust God, and he causes that willingness to grow. So I can substitute it if I'm not in the God thing yet, and this gentleman was, right? I start trusting a little bit that power greater than me. I see that I'm staying sober. I see that I'm not spazzing. I see that if I just stay focused, right, and I stay present, right, even if I drift, somebody brings me back, right? Right. So once I see the manifestation of the outcome, it's a lot better than the outcome back in my addiction. So something's working. Something's working. And what's the key component? I'm allowing myself to be willing. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so in this instance, he has identified the God of his understanding. It took a process for me because it was powers greater than me until I got to acknowledge God himself. So he says, I start with a little willingness to trust God, and he causes that willingness to grow. He says, the more willingness I have, the more trust I gain. And the more trust I gain, the more willingness I have. Oh my God. Huh? Now listen. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I'm transparent, right? You know, back in our addiction, you know, they say the reason why we stayed out so long is because we tried to capture that very first experience that will never happen again, right? But we don't know that, right? And so we keep chasing, we keep chasing, we keep chasing. So the willingness to keep chasing. You know, we're growing older, we're growing frustrated, but we keep willing, we keep willing to get that first experience that will never happen. But in recovery, it's the opposite. The more I trust the process of recovery, the more willingness I have to trust it some more. The more willingness I have, the trust grows. And so, listen, that's why I go to my meetings every day in one way, shape, form, or fashion. Because I know the value of being willing. I see the progress in my growth spiritually that manifests itself in the physical form. Yes. Huh? Practice, okay? All right, oh my God, I got a few more minutes, okay? So then he says, right, my dependence on God grows as my trust in him grows, right? I had no idea, but now in hindsight, I see God removed that obsession and that compulsion from me because on February the 23rd of 1990, right, I did not have that obsession and the compulsion to get high. No. So in hindsight, he took it from me while underneath that park car when I hollered out to him, take me out this life or show me a better way. And that's when he took that compulsion and obsession from me. Woo! I know. Okay. All right. So he says, my dependence on God grows as my trust in him grows. So every day that I stayed sober, right, I began to trust the process more and more. It says, before I became willing, I depended on myself for all my needs, and I was restricted by my incompleteness. Oh, my God. Oh, you know, sometimes we just got to laugh at ourselves. But during the time, it ain't a damn thing funny, right? But when you step out the picture and you look at the picture from the outside, you be like, what was I thinking? And you got to laugh at yourself, right? Wow. It says, before I became willing, right? Before I became willing, it says here, I depended on myself for all my needs, and I was restricted by my completeness. Edwina, as my pastor, Christopher Allen Bullock would say, Edwina, you thought she was the chips, the dips, and the container it came in, and the lid that was on it. All right, and guess what? Self-centeredness and selfishness will do that. Preceded by pride and the ego. Okay. So my incompleteness, it says, through my willingness depend upon my higher power, whom I choose to call God. Do you hear that? Whom I choose. In this spiritual program, we don't tell you to believe and do nothing. No, no, no. The very human being just has a resistance and a defiant nature about being told what to do. So, okay, you go through the process to find the God of your understanding. You go through the process of identifying who your higher power is. From a spiritual angle, not a materialistic or physical angle, from a spiritual angle, and dealing with this physical and materialistic world. Okay? All right, I got a couple more minutes. Wait. He says here, through my willingness to depend upon my higher power, whom I choose to call God, all my needs are provided for by someone who knows me better than I know myself, even the needs I may not realize, as well as the ones yet to come. Do you understand me? Oh my God. The Creator created each and every one of us, uniquely, but collectively. In the human race, we are made in his likeness and his image. So each and every one of us, oh my gosh. And to think that we are all unique in our own way, there's no one exactly like us. And you know how many people, not just on Earth, but the universe, the planets, the aliens. Oh my God. God, you're so powerful. Oh my God, I love it. I gotta go. All right. So then he says, right? Only someone who knows me that well could bring me to be myself and to help me feel the need in someone else that only I am able to feel. A.J. Harding talked about it this morning. When God of your understanding delivers you from the adversity after you had your knee-bowing experience and you presented yourself through a humiliating experience, but it was the most humbling time in your life, that you said to him, whoever he is, take me as I am. Take me as I am and do with me as you see fit. That's the moment our Creator is waiting for each and every one of his children, so that he can prepare each and every one of his children to help save another one of his children. I got to go, y'all. I got to go. Okay, I got to go. Okay. All right. And so I thank God when A.J. Harding said this morning, we're being prepared to touch other people's lives, that we were born to serve. And so it ends with, there never will be another exactly like me. And that is true independence. I love the fact that I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. I tell you, boy, I be laughing at my own self sometimes. But I love me. I love me today. I used to hate me. Oh my God. I did think something was wrong with me. I really, really did. Oh God. But he said, Edwina, I created you. I know you. I know you. I know you. But that's okay. I'm going to show you what real independence really is, okay? And he has for 32 plus years. Oh, I love God so much. I love me. And I practice loving you. But I do. I do. So if nobody told you they love you today, I love you. So wear your mask, right? Get your shots. People are getting sick again, the whole 9 yards. But guess what? When you apply these spiritual principles to this earthly journey called life, and whatever cards you are dealt, that's okay, because we know who the dealer is, and that is real independence. My mother would always say, girl, I'm so glad I only had one of you. What would she say now? That was the right one, though. You know what I mean? Why? Because God prepared me. It was my time to show up for others. I love y'all. I got to go. I love you. You love me. We are one big family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? These are tears of joy, y'all. These are tears of joy. I got to go. I got to go to my meeting. Goodbye. All right, goodbye. If it's God's will that we rejoin tomorrow, I'll be here, and I hope you will be too. I love y'all. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.